Hi there, it's me, Teacher Mike from phuketpals.org. Now, this is a video in which I'm going to take you through a few of the questions from the GED Social Studies Test. I hope these kind of flashes into what you might get in the real test are useful. If you find them useful in any way, please subscribe to the Phuket Pals YouTube channel. Also hit the notification as we produce many of these videos every week for all of the 4 subjects: maths, social studies, RLA and science. So if you want to get these free being pumped into your YouTube system or whatever it is, please hit that notification and subscribe. Okay, so let's look here. It says, use the following chart to answer questions 1 to 3. Okay, so we automatically know there's going to be 3 questions about the chart that's below. And the chart is the amendments to the US Constitution. Okay, the amendments to the US Constitution. Okay, now we all know what the US Constitution is. We all know why it was brought in. But, a few years later, there was something called the Bill of Rights that was brought in. And that's what we can see in front of us here today. All GED Social Studies students need to know that the first 10 amendments or changes to the US Constitution are referred to as the Bill of Rights. Okay, the Bill of Rights was essentially brought in to give more freedom, liberty to individual people within individual states within the system as a whole, within the US at that time. Many felt that the original US Constitution kind of was lacking in certain elements of liberty for individual people, and that's why the first 10 amendments were brought into place, known as the Bill of Rights. And that's what we can see in front of us here on the screen. Now, the first thing to state is that you do not need to memorize all the amendments to the US Constitution for this test. You do not need to memorize every single one of the Bill of Rights amendments as well, the first 10 in front of us. You do need to have a general idea about the big amendments to the US Constitution, in particular the Bill of Rights here in front of us. But please don't go down the road of memorizing all of these and expecting to be able to regurgitate them in the test. You will not be able to. The GED test is not a test that rewards people for repeating lists of information. It's a test that rewards people for being able to analyze information, read closely, synthesize data, and to organize things according to what you can see in front of you. Okay. Also to evaluate. Evaluate is the word I was looking for there. Apologies. To evaluate the data in front of you and to answer questions based on that. So let's have a look at the question based on on the Bill of Rights here, the first 10 amendments. It says, the chart above lists the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution. The first amendment includes A, the rights of the accused, B, the 5 freedoms, C, the Preamble, D, the Bill of Rights. Now, what you'll find is many students, with the pressure of exam time and all the rest that goes with it, they'll be hyped up and pressured for the big day. They'll think, okay, first 10 amendments, cool. That's the Bill of Rights. D is the answer. Well, if you do, you've made a big mistake. It is not. Let's look at the first amendment as it asks us to in the question. And remember, always read your question 2 or 3 times. Read it closely. Never just read it once, because sometimes you can get we all kind of misread things the first or the second time. So make sure you read it 2 or 3 times and make sure you really know what's going on. And we're being asked to look at the first amendment and say what it includes. So what's it say? Guarantees freedom of religion, speech, assembly, press, and the right to petition the government. So here we have certain guarantees, certain rights of freedom, shall we say, being offered to citizens in the US. Well, how many are there? We have the right of freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, and the right to petition the government. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 of them there, okay? So the rights of the accused, well, these what we're reading in the First Amendment, these are like the government recognizing certain freedoms that should be offered to individual citizens of individual states in the US. So it's nothing about accused. Accused are people who are authorities think have committed a crime and they accuse that person of committing a crime. So there's nothing about criminality or the law here, so to speak, about breaking the law, sorry. Again, we'll go to the preamble. Well, the clue here is in the suffix, the pre. Pre always means something that comes before something else, okay? So, for example, in English language learning, you have pre-intermediate, which is the stage that comes before the intermediate stage. Okay, and think of many words with pre at the start, and pre just means the thing that comes before the next one. So the preamble, as many of you will know, is the kind of introduction to the US Constitution itself. This is not an introduction to the Constitution. This is actually the Bill of Rights, so it's not the preamble. The Bill of Rights, well, this is the red herring, as they say. This is the question here to try and trick you. Because in front of us, we can see the Bill of Rights. But the question doesn't ask us that. The question asks us, the chart above lists the first of 10 amendments to the US Constitution. The first amendment includes what? So it has to be B, the 5 freedoms. Because here we can see them, the freedom of religion, which means you're in the US, you're free to practice whatever religion you want without government interference. It also means you have the right not to practice religion. You have the freedom of speech, therefore you can criticize and you can speak openly in public without fear of retribution from the government about what you say. Freedom of assembly, that means you can have protests in the street. The freedom of the press, which means you have newspapers, radio, on the internet. This means you can say whatever you want in these particular places, again, without fear of repressive action by a government. And then the right to petition the government. So a petition is a document which is trying to make a particular point, which is signed by a large number of people and given to the government to say they need to change this particular aspect of their governance. So we can see 5 freedoms here, and that's what it's all about in B here. So the answer is the 5 freedoms. That's what the First Amendment includes. Number 2, Amendments 4 to 8 are referred to as, let's have a look. We have protects against unreasonable searches and seizures, assures the right not to be deprived of life, liberty and property without due process of law, guarantees the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury, assures the right to a jury trial in case involving the common law, the law established by previous court decisions, and protects against excessive bail or cruel or unusual punishment. Now, something that jumps out at me here when we read 4 to 8 is the fact that all of these are about legal proceedings, about how you should treat people who are accused of crime. Okay, you can see here unreasonable search and seizures. So like this is to do with criminals, that the police just can't bust into their house whenever they want and search whatever they want. No, they need a warrant to do that. So this Amendment 4 to the Constitution, it protects criminals against that type of arbitrary action by the government. Number 5, assures the right not to be deprived of life, liberty and property without due process of law. This just means you can't be thrown in jail without the law being taken seriously in a democratic sense. Number 6, guarantees the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. Again, it's about the jury, it's about court, it's about being tried fairly within a democratic process. 7, anyway, you get the idea. We can see that 4 to 8, as we kind of go through them here, they're all about the law. They're about treating those who are accused of crimes fairly, impartially, and within a democratic way, within a democratic mindset, shall we say. So Amendments 4 to 8 are referred to as, well, you can see here, the rights of the accused. Accused are people who someone else says may have committed a crime. Okay, so 4 to 8 on the Bill of Rights here, these are all about the rights that people accused of crimes have under the US Constitution. Okay, so the answer is A for this. It's not the 5 freedoms, because that comes under Amendment 1 of the US Constitution, as we just did in the last question. It's not the preamble, because the preamble comes before all of these amendments to the Constitution. It's like an introduction to the Constitution itself. And the Bill of Rights is thrown in again here just to trick people who are not reading the question closely enough. 4 to 8 are not referred to as the Bill of Rights. 1 to 10 are referred to as the Bill of Rights. So the answer is the rights of the accused. Okay, so we're going to stop there for today. If you found this useful, please, hit us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the little bell, join us. We're trying to spread as much good word about GED, as many free lessons as we can. We believe GED is making a massive impact in the world and can do so, especially not only in North America, but also internationally. phuketpals is at the forefront of spreading this as a GED testing service authorized provider and partner. So please, get involved. And come back and see our videos again soon. I hope it helped you. I'm Teacher Mike from phuketpals.org. Have a lovely day. Thank you.